Coming in at number 30, we got Tre Jones, the point guard out of Duke.
Yeah, he's 6'3", 185. He's only 20 years old. So my pros for him is his size, obviously. He has a 6'4" wingspan. He produced pretty efficiently at Duke too, with 16 points and 6 assists. And he could shoot pretty well too. He shot, what, 36% from threes? Or he showed flashes of his shooting. But my cons are his explosiveness and finishing at the rim. I just don't think it's going to translate to the NBA level. And I think that's going to prevent him from being a starter in this league.
So, uh, like you said, he shot 36% from three this year. But if you
Hmm.
watched him last year as a freshman at Duke, he only shot 26%.
Yeah,
And he absolutely killed their spacing. Like, I'm not like Duke was considered a super team. Some people were saying they could have beaten the Cavs last year, the NBA Cavs.
yeah.
Then they lost, and I forget what round it was in March Madness, but they lost.
Hmm.
Uh, and their spacing was one of the reasons that they fizzled out so early. And Tre Jones was one of the reasons their spacing was terrible because he was a terrible shooter.
Yeah,
He's always been a really good passer. I wouldn't call him a playmaker who's actively creating for his teammates and making them better. But he's a really good passer, doesn't turn the ball over, knows how to run a pick and roll. Uh, and like you said, his shooting improved to 30% this year. He averaged a lot more points, was a lot better of a scorer this year. Uh, but like you said, even if that shooting improvement is real, how dynamic of a playmaker and
yeah,
ball handler is he going to be because he's not explosive and the at rim finishing, like you said, he's a small guy, smaller than his brother, who
yeah,
is Tyus Jones, obviously.
yeah,
And yeah, but another thing that we forgot to mention is he's probably the best point guard defender in college. He even last year when he sucked on offense, he has always been one of the best on ball point guard defenders. Tough, fights through screens, never gives up on a play, and I think a lot of teams are just going to love that about him, especially at the end of the first round.
yeah. And I hear a lot of people saying he's a good on-ball defender. And I just see at the end of the day, if you're 6'3" as a point guard in the NCAA, you're a big point guard. If you're 6'3" as the point guard in the NBA, you're an average to small point guard. So like his best like on the defensive end, we've only seen one good small defender. Like no one talks about a small defender besides Fred VanVleet. They're all like above 6'4", like Marcus Smart, Pat Beverly, Drew Holiday. They're all like all the bigger end, and they always weigh a lot more than 185 too.
Mm.
So I don't think he has that strength to translate on the defensive end to the NBA level. So I'm not going to see him as a great NBA defender, and I just can't see him being anything more than a backup for his whole career.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that he's probably limited to a bench role. Even if that defense does translate to the level that it was in college, just how a guy who isn't going to be able to create his own shot and finish his own shots at the rim consistently is probably not going to be a starting level point guard. But I think he could be a really effective backup point guard, probably even right away, because he's a mature player, passer. That extra year in college really helped him because he would not have gone top, even probably even top 60 if he came out of college last year.
Yeah. So what
So
are your comps for him?
so I think Corey Joseph is a pretty decent comp because of the defense, the size. Corey Joseph is a little. They're about the same size, I think.
Yeah.
The shooting, pretty good playmaker, good passer, but not a dynamic scorer. Doesn't really actively make his teammates a lot better. And I also think his brother Tyus Jones is a decent comp too. Tyus Jones is a
Hmm.
better scorer, more explosive, but Tre Jones is a better defender than Tyus Jones was even in college.
Yeah. For my comps for him was his ceiling is kind of like a Norris Cole, someone who could just be a sixth or eighth man on like a championship level team. His floor is actually I have his brother, someone who
Hmm.
sticks around in the NBA but doesn't get minutes.
Yeah.
And in my comparison for him was DeLon Wright,
Oh.
just
Okay.
because someone that could play defense and like even though he guards point guards, he's not really a point guard. He plays
Hmm.
next to a ball handler who could dribble and create shots. And I think if he gets in the right position, he could have a decent career. But if he doesn't get in the right position, he just might not get minutes.
Hmm. So you're saying my comp was Corey Joseph, your comp was DeLon Wright. Does that mean the
Yeah.
Raptors are taking him end of the first round?
I hope the Raptors don't take him because I want the Raptors to take more of a project player because
Hmm.
Tre Jones is more accomplished with less potential. So I wanted to go to somewhere that he could compete right away, like a Lakers maybe.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Listen to the Stretch the Floor podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and follow us on Instagram.